And I will be linking down the full committee hearing so you guys can check that out. But I just wanted to point out a few other devices that came out of this research initiative, which were nerve system manipulation devices. And these devices, when it's aimed at a human subject, can cause things like involuntary limb movements, muscle spasms, disorientation of the mind, vestibular manipulation, sexual stimulation, pinpointed pains to the body, headaches, and also the ability to create the sensation of a heating or cooling effect to the skin. And the thing with these devices is that it can be beamed at a human subject up to 7 football fields away. And what's going on now is extremely dangerous and it needs to stop. These are war crimes happening right beneath our noses. And the FBI targets these individuals not for the purposes of terrorism, but for the purposes of experimentation. All of the accounts of the atrocities that the FBI, in coalition with the other intelligence agencies, has been eliciting against these citizens has been done off the record from the terrorist database. And the lawyer that's currently working on this case has been trying to retrieve the records into the subset, but the FBI continues to deny every single one of her requests.
So when I first started experiencing the harassment in 2014, I read that this technology that they've developed allows them to communicate with the victims or with the people that are being targeted by allowing them to read brain patterns. I didn't believe it until I actually experienced it, and that was in 2019.
My name is Tanya. I've been targeted since 2021. I want to be free.
Hi, I'm Anna. I've been targeted since 2019 and I want to be free and I want justice for all of us.
I want my freedom and I want freedom for everyone else.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I've been a targeted individual since 2014 and I want to be free. I want everyone to wake up and I know God will prevail soon.
This is a life-changing, terrible, horrific sentence, and we have to be free from it. It's not
I want the torture and abuse to stop in 2024.
My name is Craig. I've been targeted since 2013. Stop the abuse. Be free.
It's a combination of very atrocious programs that the United States has had, unfortunately, such as MK Ultra, and which was from the CIA, experimentation with the minds of people, the brains, and COINTELPRO. They are victims of organized stalking, psychological operations, and physical attacks through directed energy weapons. Many of them knowingly are placing innocent civilians and they're treating them as domestic terrorists, even though they know that they don't meet the standard. It is not plausible to have so many people tell the same story and for them to be in the TSDB. It's just mathematically implausible. So we're asking for the court to order defendants to produce the TSDB status of these people, of these plaintiffs, and defendants have refused so far. So that's another matter that the court has to adjudicate on, and it's part of the fact finding. All of it comes from documents that are what we call in the legal field uncontroverted facts. Many of them, most of them produced, for example, let me give you just one pearl of an example, which is Inspector General from the Department of Justice report 2008-16 says that talking about the irregularities on the terrorist screening center, that FBI field offices nominate people to the terrorist screening database without complying with any FBI regulations. Let that sink in. It's the weaponization of the government, as no one is talking about it. Because in Congress, you've been hearing about people being pressured to classify people as domestic terrorists. but they don't know the real consequences of it. And that is what our lawsuit is about. And that's why every American should be aware of it and should read it and should, just demand that this project is defunded. It's one of those black projects that it be defunded by Congress. Because if Congress pulls the plug on the money, it'll stop.
Yeah, but so their logic in terms of why they're doing this is experimentation purposes. Is that the logic of this program?
Yes. Well, I have learned a lot. I only arrived to Targeted Justice in September, but it has been like an intensive 10-hour seminar for me, and I am very grateful for that. The goal of the program is to get you to kill yourself. It's very cruel, and they just do really atrocious things to you to force you into being destitute and into trying to kill yourself. For example, the polls we have internal, the polls that Targeted Justice has carried out reflect that 14% of targeted individuals are homeless, whereas the national average is 0.5%. So Mr. Lighthouse explains to me that, being a targeted individual, it's some sort of life insurance in the horrible sense that they are not allowed to murder you because you're supposed to kill yourself. They want to know how to, they want to have an absolute control of minds and know what it takes to, for example, somebody like me, to dominate somebody like me. And, I'm sure they regret having targeted me. It is my hope they regret it. But so, let me give you an example of something really atrocious that they do. There is this lady in Ohio. Her daughter has Down syndrome. She's a 34-year-old woman with Down syndrome. And even though the mother, who is the originally targeted one, she's in her 70s, doesn't have voice to skull, they torment and torture her 34-year-old daughter every night. And she can't comprehend, she can't understand what's going on. She just hears the voices and fights with these voices until sheer exhaustion. She sleeps until she falls asleep. And the mother in the room next door is hearing her daughter fight with these voices from nowhere. And so the mother cries herself to sleep. I mean, one mother can tolerate this atrocious suffering on your daughter. I immediately looked up, and there is no correlation between schizophrenia and Down syndrome patients. So it's just so obvious that the level of cruelty that these people are capable of carrying out is beyond what I had ever imagined any human to be capable of. So that's the goal. The goal is to discover how to control the uncontrollable people, and what works and what doesn't, and the end goal is to make you kill yourself.